Happy birthday or anniversary. What do companies have?
Illustrations by me.
I think a company can have a birthday. I thought they always had birthdays. Anyway, that whatever the celebration is, that's what we're doing. 10 years for MEEDEN. And they contacted me and they said, hey, we don't understand parties, so we're having a birthday and we want to give you presents. I'm all for any time someone has a birthday and they want to give me presents, I am all in. So I said, I'm so happy you finally had a 10-year anniversary. I've been using your products for 15 years. They said, no, that's not how that works. But I know my mind is like a steel trap. And they said, well, maybe it's a little bit more like a blender. They're probably right. It doesn't matter. The point is they sent me some things and we're going to go through them. I love MEEDEN products. You know that. I've been using MEEDEN for a very long time before they ever contacted me. The first video that they contacted me and I told you, yes, I have a bunch of stuff I already have from them. So here's the thing. The first thing they sent me was this that you can't see because I didn't take it out of the box because I'm not prepared. That's a theme in my videos. I'm not prepared. So you know that I spill water. That's one of the reasons I always tell you I don't use regular watercolor brushes here because what do? I spill the water everywhere because it got these little cups everywhere and you have to have one for clean water and one for the dirty water and you go maybe if you don't want to do. Here's the thing. I spill the cups all over my desk and I always say I don't use the cups because I will get water all over my stuff. And they sent me this. It's a giant 2-cup portable porcelain palette thing for the water. It's a porcelain palette for the water. It's still I'm calling it you call it whatever you want. Anyway, 2 giant water cups and they're huge. I can put my whole hand in there. It's a big water cup and it won't spill. You put this on something and it doesn't move. So that's wonderful. I am going to put little rubber things on the bottom so I don't scratch my desk. But right now, this is going to be excellent for these videos. I'll be able to use regular brushes a lot more because I won't spill this. This is solid. It's heavy just to hold it. So absolutely wonderful. I'm very happy about that. And they said, just to try out then, they sent me a 9-piece brush set. Hold on, I'm getting them. My favorite thing in the whole world, they're quill brushes. You can't see them, hold on. It's like they invented them. They come in these test tubes. That's interesting. I'm gonna keep those test tubes. I'm gonna put little sticks in them with little pieces of grass glued to them and leave them out on my counter somewhere and freak somebody out, but that's okay. These 9 quill brushes, look at them. Aren't they beautiful? So they are fully synthetic squirrel. I can't even, there's a lot of brush stiffener in this. I'm gonna have to go wash these out really well. But they go from 1 to 9. See the small one, they didn't make a 0. They made it a 1. Oh, this is the 2. Where's the 1? I just had the 1, didn't I? Oh, there it is. It was hiding on me. Here's the 1 right here. There's the 1. So they don't put a 0, they put a 1. So fully synthetic. And they promise not to have shedding hairs. So I'm gonna rinse these out and see if they're telling me the truth. If we see something come off on the painting or anything, you'll see, right? Or when we do the test for the brushes, I will be testing these. You'll see, and then you'll say, hey, wait a minute, you said that they weren't supposed to shed. And that's what they claim. We're gonna hold them to it. I love quill brushes, you know that. It's become one of my favorite brushes to use. I would rather use a small quill brush like this than a small round brush. That's what I would rather use is the quill brushes. I don't know why, I just enjoy them so much. So that's what we're gonna test today. We're gonna do not the swatch, we get to the swatch part. Now for the swatch. The swatch, we're gonna use a water brush because it's just quicker to just go back and forth. But then for the painting, we're using these. We're gonna use a few different sizes for the painting and see how they work on that. Plus I will do a regular test with them before the painting, so you'll see that. And what has been my favorite paper lately? It has been the MEEDEN watercolor paper. I have recommended this to so many people. I love using it. It holds up. It's the regular, I'm gonna say it, 300 GSM. I'm not saying the pounds because they're deceptive. We're not doing that. It's a 10x7 pad. And my favorite size, by the way. I love the 10x7s. It's big enough that it looks like a big enough piece and it's small enough that I can finish in one sitting. I love that kind of size. That's what I go for. If you notice, there's a green sheet here. That's the cover, is to protect the paper. That's not actually green paper. I'm on my last sheet from the last block that I was using. Let's just say in a year, I do 52 videos roughly. I usually do one a week. So on occasion, I throw something in there that's a little bit more than that, but figure about one a week. There's 20 in here, and I'm on my last one from here, and I've used the hot press and the rough already as well. So you know I like their paper. I use it all the time, and I use it in videos here, doing paintings, doing swatchings, whatever I'm doing. I just love their paper. It's a great texture for the cold press and the hot press and the rough. I love the rough is one of my favorites, by the way. I love rough paper, but their cold press is really rough. So if you just get the cold press, you'll be happy. And for you, for some people, it's actually been a little bit, they say, oh, that's pretty rough. Yeah, it's really rough. And then the hot press is good as well. But I love the cold press paper. It's a great in-between, and that's what I've been using. And the last thing that they sent me, you remember, they sent me all the little tins, the one regular colors. This is the regular color one. And then I told you, my niece really loved these paints, and she's brand new to watercolor, and I gave her a different set of regular watercolor, and then she wanted some specialty paints. And I said, here's the neon set or the pastel set, or I think they call it the pastel set. There was 12 of those, or is it 12? Yeah, there's 12 in there. And then there was the metallic set, and there's 12 in there. And I said, here, take these, because I know she will enjoy them, and they work wonderfully well. They said, do you want us to send you some watercolor paint? I said, I have your watercolor paint. You sent them to me. They're like, no, that's not what we mean. What we mean is, do you want like watercolor paint? This is a set of 96 colors. There's 48 regular colors, 30 metallics, 12 macaron colors. I don't know what that means, but we're gonna use those anyway. And 6 fluorescent colors, and they're in this set. And there's a lot in here. Now, you whiny children, do not complain. I'm swatching out all 96 colors in this set. If you don't have to watch it if you don't want to. I did that other. There's like 48 in that other set, and people were complaining that it took 2 hours to review it, and I was going through all the pigments. Most of you liked it. Most of you said, hey, thank you for going through the pigments. And there was a couple of whiny babies that said, oh, there's a couple hours of my life I'll never get back. But wait a minute. You saw me start with 1, right? And I put down the 1 and started going through all the pigments in the 1 and how it acts in the water. And then I went to 2 and I put it down and all the... You saw that happening, and you didn't know how that story was going to end, so you watched the whole thing. That's not on me. That's on you. There's no pigments here. We're not going to do the pigment thing. There's this nice fold-out palette here that comes out. Oh, it falls in the... I popped it out of the thing. Okay, so there's this nice big palette. I'll show you from the top down. It's easier to see. But there's this nice big fold-out palette here for mixing, which I don't mix a whole lot on the palette. I like to do it on the page. But it's here if you want to. And they send you a pencil. And they send you a small watercolor brush. Look at that. It doesn't say the size. It's just a small round watercolor brush. So they send you that. And it fits. Look, it's a normal watercolor brush that fits in here. I'll probably put one of the quills in here, and that's what I'll carry in here. But look, it's a full-size brush if you want to use the brush. It fits the whole thing. It's not that little tiny piece of nonsense that some of those other companies put in their travel sets. And this is a big travel set, but it's a travel set. These are all full of half pans. You see all the colors here. Up here are all the metallics and the mark and those ones. And then there's all the regular colors are down here in the main set. Now, they show you this because they give you some things to put in it. And that's what I'm going to use. So they have these clear transparencies that have the colors all over them with all the color names on them. Absolutely wonderful. There's 2 of them, one for the American and the regular and then they have these which you can see which ones they go where because the name's on. Look, the name's on the top of this one, so it goes on the top section, and the name's on the bottom of this one. And it fits inside beautifully, so you carry these with you, you put the paints here. I'm actually going to use this. I've already swatched some of their other colors, and I know that usually in water, they don't, like, some paints explode in water. These don't do that. So I don't need to do the regular water test. I'm just going to put the color down here. And so I'm going to fill these out and put them in the set, but I'm going to do that with you. I'm going to fill out the whole thing, all 96 colors, that's right. And then I'm going to put them in this set so I have it as a reference. But if you didn't want to do that, you have these, you know how I feel about these though, right? That you know that it's an idea of what the color is, but it's not really the color. And if you have to really put that, see how it's hard to see. You got to put the white behind it to really, there you go, to really see all the colors. So I'm going to probably not use these, but I'm very grateful that they incorporated them in here because someone does not want to swatch all these colors out. And every single, this is a lot of colors to swatch out and on yourself and put them in here. So you have, okay, this is a rough idea of what that color is. It's not going to be accurate. It's not going to show you exactly what that color looks like. But there's a lot of beautiful colors in here. So I'm very excited. We're going to swatch these out. I'm going to do that part with the water brush because I don't want to keep dunking constantly. But let's get into that. It's been, oh, it's a long intro. Just stop being complaining. But these are great, and the half pans will pop in and out. So if you want to arrange them in a different order, you want to put different colors in or whatever. Maybe I wanted to put some of these in there. If they're not in there, you can put those in there. I'm sure they're in there. There's only 12 there. There's 48 of the regular colors. I cannot see that these are not in there. But you could do whatever you want. Maybe I wanted to put 2 of the same color that I really like. Maybe there's colors in here that I really enjoy, and I want to put one of those, take one of the colors out that I don't like, and put next to it the color that I do like, and have 2 pans of it. You can do that. They pop right out. Now, they do snap in. They fit very snugly, so you can't just dump them out. You've got to, like, pop them out, and then when you put them back in, they kind of snap back in, which is great because that means that they're going to be held in there. Now, if for whatever reason you were like, you know what, I don't want to take the whole thing with me, even the individual trays, there's a tray of 6 that pop out all together. So you can just take the 6 with you. If you want to put them in a small palette, put a couple magnets in the back, they probably will just fit right in here. And you could take a little travel palette and put in 12 of whatever colors you want from this set in here. So that's a cool idea too. If you want to leave this in the studio, you don't want to travel with that much, you want to travel with one of the smaller tins, but you don't like the colors that are in there maybe, or you want to swap a couple out, just pop this out, put the colors you want in here. 2 of these will fit in there. You put some magnets on the back, it'll be just fine. And then if you want to, you pop these out from the back, and then each individual pan, as long as I can grab it, each individual pan does come out, and you could just put whatever colors you want in this thing. So I think that's really cool. I think that's a very interesting idea that it's modular like that, that everything gets put in separately. I think it's cool. There's little notches on them that you can kind of snap that in there too. So I think that's a pretty interesting idea. I like that idea. That's an idea I think I like. So, okay, let's get into the swatching part first, and then we'll go into reviewing the brushes, and then I'll do a painting on the paper, all using this absolutely beautiful cup here. I'm going to be using this a lot. And thank you so much, MEEDEN, for doing this. They know me. They know that I spill everything in my life. So they put this on there. It's big, it's heavy, it's got a wide bottom. It's not going anywhere. I could bump into it all day. The thing's not going to tip over. So that's my big concern. That's what I keep doing. You saw in the one video, I slapped the thing. The water went everywhere. I was traumatized by that experience. I'm still trying to get over it. Now that won't happen. Here's a giant cup here. Split in 2, I can separate them. Wonderful, I absolutely love it. Okay, so just to show you how this is now, let me open this. Oh, one of the pans fell out. That's okay, don't worry about that. And this opens up like this. And now you have a very large working area. Look at this, it's bigger than my hand. Yes, it is. So you have this full-size short handle watercolor brush. It's a small one. It's maybe like a 4. or something like that. And maybe it's a little bit, maybe it could be a 6. I don't know. It's a smaller one, let's put it that way. But I'm going to put one of the quill brushes in there. So I will probably put one of the, let me do this number 2 or something like that. You can fit, let me see how much I put this 5 in here if I wanted to, and it'll still fit. Everything will be fine. It'll close. There's a little gap in the other side. It'll be fine. You also get this little eraser and these 2 little foam pads here so you can wipe off your brush or whatever you're doing. That's wonderful. Now, these are the things here, and you can see this one's for this set, and it says right on top, metallic. It'll say what the numbers are. This one's down here. This is the lemon yellow. So it just goes this way. So wonderful. I'm going to fill this out with you. I'm going to zoom in on this so you can see it. But in case you didn't want to do that, you could use these as, of course, I would put the white behind it anyway so you could see it. But I don't think that the representation of color on these charts are ever accurate. Like, I know for a fact this lemon yellow looks green almost on here, where on here it looks a bright yellow. So I know that this is probably not going to come off that way on the page, but it's just a reference. It's just a frame of reference. If you don't want to swatch everything out, you can just look at it and say, oh yeah, okay, that one could be this one. Now I'm a little concerned here. I see a gamboge over here. And we're going to see if that's true. You know how I feel about that color. I love that color, and I hold them to a very high standard. So let's just swatch these out first on these sheets, and then we will continue with the rest of the show. So 96 colors is nothing to shake a stick at. I don't know why you would ever shake a stick at anything. Probably because you're weird. I just want to point out that even after multiple videos, the tip of my brush here is still stained green from that ridiculous color, and I know it's coming in this set. I can see it. I know it's coming, but I'm still going to do it. I'm just not happy about it. Look at that jade right there. It could be that one, or the, I don't know, deep moss. I don't know, the deep green. It could be, or emerald green is definitely, that's a, all right, here we go. We're just going to start swatching, see what happens. So we're going to start off first with this lemon yellow, and it's a lemon yellow. That's what it is. And look at that. It's a lemon yellow. Do you like the bright lemon yellows? A lot of people do. I usually don't use them. They're not my style. They're not my thing. I don't do that. Next one, we have a permanent yellow. Now, the permanent yellow looks a little bit warmer, and that is more my speed. I like the warm yellows. That's what I like doing. So, yes, that's a much warmer yellow. That's a yellow I would use in any set. And this is bright and vibrant and beautiful. I love these colors. They're absolutely wonderful. This is not, I don't think, oh, I've got to go over that 10 times with 10 different layers just to make sure that it's actually, no, I can see that that's a good color right there. A light tangelo. What in the world is a tangelo? Tell me what a tangelo is, and I would love to know. So this is like a peach color. I don't know why they're calling it a tangelo. I've heard people say that word before. I just don't know what that means. Then we have a nice yellow orange. I know I'm going to love this color because it's an orange color. It's like a pumpkin yellow, basically. And I love the I love a pumpkin yellow. It's a pumpkin orange. That's what it is. Not a pumpkin yellow. No such thing as a pumpkin. Just sometimes you got to knock me in the head sometimes so I could pay attention. Yellow ochre. That's the next one. See, these are moving along fast. Don't complain to me. Yellow ochre. And that's a yellow ochre color. That's exactly what that is. It's a little bit more yellow than a yellow ochre that I would normally see. I would normally look at a yellow ochre and say, yeah, yellow ochre is definitely one of my favorite colors. And it always is. But look, if we take this away a little bit, see how bright that gets? It's almost like this is something different. But that's okay. It's going to be, you can get away with it. Gamboge. And this is the one right here. I know it's not going to be the gamboge color. I know it's not going to happen, because it never does. It's always something that disappoints me, because I love new gamboge from Daniel Smith is the one that I usually compare it to. But I love the gamboge color. Actually, that's not bad. Okay, that's not bad. That's not as, I'm approving of this. So it's a little bit darker than a gamboge that I would usually use, but that's a good, it's in the realm. It's related. It's like a distant third cousin. That's okay. That third cousin has an underbite, but it's okay. Don't worry about that. It's fine. This is Harvest Gold. That sounds like a pretty color. I love earth colors. So Harvest Gold, that's beautiful. Harvest Gold. I really like that color. That's something that I would probably use. I think I would. Now a rust red, all of a sudden we're hitting a rust red? We just got into this stuff and just got into the yellows and the earths, and now we're gonna hit some rust red. That's what they're calling this. Oh my goodness, what is that? Oh, look at that color. I want to water that out a little bit, dilute it a little bit, and see what it can do. Look at that color. That's a beautiful color. That's one of my favorite colors in the whole set. I can tell right from now. That's one of my favorite colors in the whole set. That is a beautiful color. That deep, dark red like that. I absolutely love that color. We might as well just stop now. That's my favorite color in the set. I can almost guarantee it. Okay, let's go to the pale magenta. Pale magenta here, and that's an accurate color, I guess, for this. It's a little opaque. You see it go over that line a little bit, and it covers that line. This is an opaque color a little bit, so there must be a little bit of white in here. I'm sure there is, just to thicken up the color and make it a little bit paler. So it's almost like a pastel color. That's what I would say. It's a pastel color. And then we have Barbie pink. This is the color. You remember I got a set of watercolor a while ago, and this was the color of the lid. I am not a fan of Barbie pink. Again, a little bit opaque. There's definitely some white in here, but still bright, vibrant, beautiful color. Absolutely beautiful color. But it is is definitely a pink color. Okay, what is cerise pink? Is that how you say that? C-E-R-I-S-E, cerise? Is that how that works? Well, that's how I'm going to say it. Or it's not cerise. That's a different way you spell that. Look at that. That's an interesting color. It's opaque again. A little bit opaque there, but a very pretty color. I could see that's let me just pull this away a little bit and see if there's a little bit of any kind of undertone on there. Yeah, so that I like that. That's an interesting color. I would use that. That's a good mixing color for sure. I would definitely. I know it's got the white in it, and people are like, oh, you shouldn't use that to mix. Yeah, I'm going to use it to mix. You do whatever you want to do. I'm going to use that to mix. I like the color. Okay, this is just simply called orange. At least they're not mixing words. This is just orange, and that's exactly what it is, orange. Now look at it compared to the yellow orange, and I'd say those are both accurate descriptions right there. This is much more transparent and absolutely a wonderful color. I would say I would use that color quite a bit. That's more of a pumpkin. So maybe there is a yellow pumpkin, and maybe that's it right there. There's a yellow pumpkin, and that's it. And this is the regular pumpkin. That's more like a pumpkin orange there, but it's a beautiful shade of orange. I like that. I like orange. You know I like orange. Here's a red orange. I like orange. So let's see how this is. Oh yeah, that's a more red orange. Now it's not. See, this is not an orangey red. It's a reddish orange. How do you know that? I have been asked that question before because I've made that comment before. If it's orange that leans more a little bit red, then it's a red orange. It's a reddish orange. It's still an orange. But if it was a red that leans orange, then that's an orange red. Do you see how that changes? Okay, I hope so. It makes sense in my head. Maybe it doesn't make sense in your head. Makes sense in my head. Here's a vermilion, which is more like what I was just saying. That's usually a red that leans orange, and I think it does. I think that could be. I want to see how that dries. That could be a little bit, and that's a little bit more opaque as well. You have to give me time here. I need to go through this, but I'm making good time here. I'm moving right along here. So this is, yeah, that's definitely a red that leans orange. I think that's what that is. It's a little bit more. It depends. I don't know. It could go either way. As you keep going, you tend to see the colors a little bit clearer when they sit next to the other colors. So this is a light scarlet color. So it's very similar. It's very similar, but it is a little bit more red. So this is more of that's a warm red. That's what that light scarlet is. It's a warm red. That's a beautiful in-between. That vermilion is a beautiful in-between between the warm red and then the warmer orange. And so that I'd say that's accurate. That's how I would expect that color to look. Let's hit the scarlet now. We have a scarlet color. This scarlet color is going to be, now the scarlet is usually the warm red that I think of. So, and it's more of a scarlet color. I would call that one the light scarlet and that one the deep scarlet. Scarlet in general, like a pyrrole scarlet or something, those things are a little bit more opaque. So it's a little bit more, I can still see the line through them, but it's a little bit more opaque, maybe like a semi-opaque color. But it's nice. Now the crimson color, now you're talking about getting into, this better be a deep, dark, cool red. That's what crimson is. I hope so. And that ruby red too. That's probably, okay, so this crimson color here, okay, so I don't know. That doesn't look very, I mean, it looks like a cooler color. It's definitely cooler red. And it's definitely a deep color. But I would almost call that one a ruby instead of the crimson. Although, because a crimson, usually when you lighten up on the edge, you get a lot of pink. And I'm trying to see if that's doing, it is. It's kind of pink undertone. That's a pink undertone. So, yeah, I would say that, and when I wipe it off on the paper, let's see here, can I show you? When I wipe it off on the paper, you can see the pink. So this is it here, it's pink. So I would say that that's accurate as a crimson. It's deep. It's not like an alizarin crimson color, but it's still a crimson. It's definitely that way. It's got the softer pink undertone. That's a cool red. Now for some reason this next one is called black tea. Now black tea you would expect to be like a brown color. So let's see how this works. And that's exactly what that is. It's a brownish color. The brush is not as wet as I would like. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so there you go. It's a rusty kind of color, like a brown color. I guess like a tea color. I would say I can understand that where they got that from. It's a brownish red, so I get that. Now it's going next to a ruby red. This should be a bright, vibrant, uh, true red, or maybe a cooler red. I don't know. We'll see how this works here, but yeah, that's a much cooler red. This is more like a crimson color, if you were to ask me. That's more like a crimson color, in my opinion. And I know that if I wipe a little bit of this away, which I'm going to do, you get that beautiful pink undertone. So that crimson looks, compared to this one, the crimson looks like a more of a truer red, but it still has a little bit of the pink undertone. But this one is the crimson color. This is the dark, deep dark red here that gets light to a pink. That's crimson. Now we have a deep magenta. Let's see what that looks like. That's a magenta color. What does it make it deep about it? What's deep magenta? Look, that looks like a regular magenta to me. Maybe it's just what they chose to call it, because I don't see another magenta in here. So maybe that's, the deep magenta is the magenta. So that's what they decided to go with. I understand that. That's fine. Garnet red is usually a little bit more brownish too, is not? Oh no, what is that? What is that? Hold on. See, these are so concentrated that I'm having to water them out to actually see the undercolor of it all. The undercolor? You know what I mean. To see the true color of it, I'm having to... So these are extremely concentrated. I don't care what anybody says. And these, look how deep that is. That's a beautiful color. Almost like... Oh my goodness. I want to say it's not really a... It's not a perylene purple, but it's a very deep purple. It's a very pretty color. I want to see how that dries. Look how beautiful that color got when it dried. That's like like a rusty orange. I love that color. That's a good color right there. The plum purple. Now I know what a plum looks like. I know plum purples. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good accurate description of this color. It's a nice plum purple, and I like plum purples. They are very nice. I like the darker, deeper purples, not so much the lighter purple, but this is a beautiful. This garnet red, I love that color. I don't know what that is. I wish I knew. Do you have any ideas? Do you know what that looks like? Please tell me if you know what that color looks like. Almost like a perylene, but not quite. I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to really... Okay, so this is just purple, and that's a purple. That's exactly what that is. It's a purple. Now the dark purple I would expect to be like a dioxazine purple. It's probably going to be almost black when I put it down. Yeah, see, look at that. So that's like a dioxazine purple. I'm going to, I've got to lighten some of this load here. Okay, there we go. So you can see some of the purple once I lighten it up a little bit. Let me just take a little bit away up here. Okay, good. Yeah, it's a pretty color. Very pretty color. A lot of people like those purples. I don't usually use them on my palette. I use this on my palette. I would use that all day. That's a wonderful color. I'm going to use that definitely. One of my other favorite colors is cerulean blue. I love a good cerulean blue. Usually the cerulean blues in these sets are like a phthalo blue with a white on them, and that's what this looks like. It looks like a phthalo blue with a white on it. It is opaque. Yeah, it's definitely just like ceruleans are a little opaque anyway. I'm not saying that they're not, but this is a good color. I'm going to try and get some of this wiped away here, and yeah, you can see, you can put this in the sky. That's a beautiful sky color. I would use that. It's a cooler blue, and it's a pretty color, so I like that. Now we have a lake blue, so I'm going to guess that the lake blue is a little bit warmer, maybe more like a cobalt, which is more like a true blue. Let's see if that lake blue, yeah. So that's what I would, it's close. The lake blue, close. There's a little bit of white in it too. A little bit opaque. It's a pretty color. I do like it. There's nothing wrong with that color at all. And I would definitely use that. I would use that color. It's a pretty color. Ultramarine, you know that's not my favorite, but we're going to put it down here. It's just not my favorite because it's a very warm blue, and I'm not into the warm blues, but and for whatever reason, ultramarines tend to be a lighter tinting strength. I know it's not because they didn't put enough pigment in. That's what I know, because any brand you look at an ultramarine that is just a little bit less tinting strength. It's just how it is, the pigment itself. But that's definitely a redder blue. So see how the difference in color it looks? Oh, it's just darker? No, it's redder. It's to the red side. They have not added red. The pigment itself is just to that side. Medium blue? What's a medium blue? Okay. Oh, that's a phthalo blue is what that is. But I want to say that it's a phthalo. Let me see. Yeah, maybe. So I think it's the green shade. I think it's a phthalo blue green shade. It just come off very concentrated over here, and I was almost going to say a red shade, but no, this is the green shade. It's a pretty color. It's hard to tell next to the ultramarine because this is very red compared to this one here, but that's a phthalo blue. Now we have a dark blue, so it's probably something like maybe like a Prussian or something like that. And yeah, so it's definitely a darker blue. I'm going to wipe some of that off and get some of that off on here so you can get the lighter color. Definitely a pretty color. Very dark, deep blue. And I like Prussian blues. I really do. Even though they are a little bit warmer than something I would normally use, I just like the darker blues. I think they're pretty. Now an indigo, and it depends on what this indigo does. Is it too warm, or is it, let's see, it gets very dark. Oh no, this is going to be a very nice indigo, I think. I think this is going to be a beautiful indigo. There it goes. Look at that. So it's very similar, but this indigo uses phthalo. You can tell that that's using a phthalo color. I don't think this is real. I don't think this is any other kind of. It's like a phthalo, maybe like a phthalo blue red shade mixed in this one. There's definitely that color. Sometimes the indigos, because they don't usually use real indigo, because indigo is fugitive, so they don't usually use that color. But sometimes they use like an ultramarine in there, or they'll use a cobalt in there. But I think that's more of a phthalo blend, if you ask me. And then, of course, they usually add a black to it, so that's why it looks darker. Here's a blue-green. Let's see what the blue-green looks like, and it should be some kind of, yeah, okay. So it's like a phthalo turquoise. That's what I would say that is. It's a phthalo turquoise. That's a pretty color. I really like that color. It's a nice, it doesn't stain. It's one of the few colors that's green that doesn't stain, because it's phthalo. Even though there is phthalo green in it, there's a phthalo blue and phthalo green. It's a staining color, don't get me wrong. On the page, this is going to be a staining color. But I just mean it's not going to stain my brush as bad as the phthalo green that I'm dreading. It's coming up. I know you all laugh at me with the phthalo green. I'm telling you, it's not from this world. So here's a blue violet. What is a blue violet? Why is it the blue violet all the way over here with the blues? We're going green here, and you're trying to give me a violet over here. It's still a pretty color. It's a nice color. I think that's a nice color. That's like the dioxazine purple there. That's darker than this. That's more of the dioxazine purple. That's like a violet mix. That should have been the dark purple. That's what I'm thinking. And we're getting to the greens, so we're gonna get to all the colors that I don't like all at once. Apple green, let's see. Yep, it's a yellow green. It reminds you of a Granny Smith apple. Well, let me tell you something about the green. If I saw an apple this color, I wouldn't eat it. It's not ripe, but it does kind of look like that kind of color. That's a good name for it, is apple green, but I wouldn't eat that. But there you go. That's a yellow green. I'm not a fan of it. You know that. Oh, you son of a gun. Look at what happened to my brush. Yep, you see it right there. That looks like the phthalo green yellow shade. That's what it looks like. You monkey, what is that? Okay, I don't, you know I don't like that color. I know it's a good mixing color. Everyone loves the mixing colors. You know how I feel about it. I don't have to tell you. Here's a grass green, so that's more like a, well, that's actually not bad. I thought it was going to be, I mean, it is a spring green color, but it's not as opaque as a spring green. Usually I'm looking at the spring greens, very opaque, but that's a lighter version of it. It's not bad. Maybe I'm wrong about that. It's starting to dry a little darker. Maybe I was wrong. I don't know. I'd have to see. Let's go review the videotape. Okay, olive green. I love olive green. You know that. It's one of my favorite colors for greens. And this does not disappoint. Look at that color. That is a pretty color. It's a little bit yellowish on the undertone, but olive greens tend to be. But it's like a deep mossy color, and it looks like it's granulating so much in here. Oh my goodness, that's a beautiful color. I like that green. They came up with a green that I approve of. Good for them. That's a hard thing to do. They may get an award for that. 10 years, it took them long enough. All right, deep moss green. That's what this one's called. Let's see how this one is. Oh yeah, okay. That's a deep. Oh, there's phthalo in it. There's phthalo in it. Oh, look at it. Look. You see the phthalo coming out? Look at it. Look at it. Just you have to look at it. I'm already looking at it. It's still the deep color here. It's still like a forest green. I don't know. It's just not saying it's a bad color. It's just not one I would. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, now we have a deep green. Let's see what the deep green says. Oh, that's so much worse. Oh, that's got so much more in it. So I wanted to try and hold on here. I had to refill the brush here, but look at the lighter side of that. Oh my goodness. I'm telling you right now, it definitely just destroyed my brush. Look at that. You can see it again. It started to come out as I was watching all these. This one, I'm surprised. This one got much better. There's still some phthalo in it, but it's much better than what it was. But this one, this is a no. This one I like. I really love that green. This one I can use, and there's a little bit of blue in it. I can see that, and it's not bad. It didn't stain it didn't stain the way that I thought it would. Not my brush. But this one, you keep it. It's immediately coming out of my palette. Emerald green. Oh, I know what it is. Yeah, so again, very pretty color. Everybody's a pretty color. It is a pretty color. I know. This is definitely the blue shade, the phthalo green blue shade. This was more the yellow shade here, maybe. I don't know. All I know is I'm going to have to throw this. Look at this brush. It's just absolutely destroyed. Black green. If this is perylene green, it's one of my favorite colors. I love perylene green. It goes in my top 10. I love perylene greens. Oh, yes. Look at that. Do you see how dark that is? Oh, look at that color. That is a beautiful color. Oh my goodness. Now I think they put black in this because it looks like it's granulating. But that is a beautiful color. It's made to look like a perylene, even if it's not. But it's a beautiful color. Look at that color. I'm gonna have to use that color. So maybe right now, as it stands, this green, possibly this green and this green are in my palette. They're staying. All the rest of them are going away. Oh, I wasn't prepared for the white. Okay, look, let me put a line here. I'll do it this way. Let me put this line here. Okay. And now I've got to leave that. So don't let me forget, because I'll forget about this. I'll leave this and not do it. So don't let me forget. That white has to be done. Gray. I like gray paints. I don't know. Some people really don't like them. I think they're nice. I like these kinds of this, like, I don't know, what would you call it? Like a graphite gray or something like that. I think that's a nice color. I know that it has white in it and it's a black and white pigment. That's what it is, black and white. But I tend to like them. But usually the black and white, you know, they put them at the end and then they do the earth colors first, but not this set. This is a black. Yes, it is. Now, how do you tell what kind of black it is? It's very simple. You have to water it out a little bit. That's a very dark, deep color right there. Could be similar to a Mars. Yeah, so I would say very similar to a Mars. It's not very warm. You see how it's not brown under there, it's gray. So that means that it's not the ivory version. If it was an ivory black, which is the one made from bones, this would be brown. And it's not, it's gray. So I would say this is very close to a Mars black. Or maybe it's a lamp black. Sometimes the lamp blacks are this neutral. So it could be a lamp black, could be a Mars black, but it's definitely not an ivory black, which means it was not used from animal products. So if you're that kind of person where you don't like that, then you can use this black. Okay, here's an ochre. Well, what? I got no water on that brush at all. What happened to that? Okay, so this is an ochre color. So very interesting. It's not yellow ochre because that's up at the top there. That's the yellow ochre. The card's curling a little bit, but you can still see it. That's the yellow ochre up there, which is a little bit lighter. I would not use that as much as a yellow ochre. I'd rather use that as a yellow ochre, but like a raw sienna. That's a raw sienna. The Harvest Gold, more like a raw sienna, yellow ochre-ish color. But this is a beautiful color. I love the color. It's just not a yellow ochre. It's like an orange ochre. It's beautiful. I love it. I think it's a great color. Now let's see their raw umber, because raw umbers are usually more yellow. And I don't usually like that about the raw umber, but let me see. Really? If anything, that looks like a burnt umber. That does not... I used the right paint, right? Yeah, I did. That does not look like a raw umber. That looks like a burnt umber. That's what that looks like. Although there is a burnt umber over here. I'll see what that looks like. But this raw umber is usually like an uglier, like has like a greenish, yellowish tint to it. And I don't like it usually. But this is very pretty. I like this color. I'm going to use that color. So that color and that color, both of them are staying. Now this is a burnt sienna. That's what they're saying this is. Burnt sienna. Okay. Wow. That's a lot more red and orange. A lot more orange. I say red, but it's a lot more orange than I expected it to be. That's a pretty color. Now, burnt siennas, I go very lenient on the burnt siennas because they're so different in so many different sets. So, they could lean all the way orange. They can lean to a very pale. But this is a very concentrated, very thick burnt sienna, and I really like that color. It's a beautiful color. I like it. I am loving their earth colors down here. They're wonderful. You take them and you add that black tea and that rust red, and you're in business. Now, what's a dark ochre? I've never seen a dark ochre or even heard of one. Oh, that is... Oh, okay. Maybe... Yeah, let me dab that off a little bit. A little bit more water on there. It's not... Oh, how would you categorize that? I would categorize that maybe as like a Van Dyke brown, kind of, but maybe a little bit more yellowy. I don't know. It's kind of similar. It's in that realm. It's in the realm of the Van Dyke browns. Burnt umber. This is like a puzzle for me. This is what this is, a puzzle. When they don't actually name the things that I think they are, I got to figure out what they could be. And so far, I think I'm doing okay. We'll see. So here's a burnt umber. Let's see what their burnt umber looks like. So that's like I don't know. I would not call that a burnt umber at all. That's like a sepia color. That's what that is. It's sepia, but maybe a little bit less brown, like a little bit less yellow. So it's definitely burnt. Definitely a burnt color. But if you say this is raw umber and that's burnt umber, that's a little bit different. This raw umber, it's a little bit darker than what I would expect, and this is definitely darker than what I was. But it's a beautiful color. I love it. They hit a home run with their earth colors. I absolutely love them. All right, let's head over to part 2. Part 2 is right here. And we're going to start with these colors and see if I maybe like them. I'm not promising anything because these are colors that I don't normally use or touch or even have anything to do with. So I've got to figure out, am I going to like these? We're going to go back to the other ones when they're dry. I want to go through some of the colors. But these are going to be a little different. Now these, okay, so you remember I had the other metallic colors and I said, oh, these have to be re-wet. So they probably should be sprayed a little bit, but I always like to see what are they going to do when you first wet them. So there's a little bit of a film on here that I had to scrub through, and then now it's moving, now it's flowing, and now it's getting all mixed up. So these are probably a set of paints. If you're going to use those, you didn't have to with the regular set, but with the metallics, you may have to wet them a little bit more beforehand, and this is not as wet as it needs to be. So there you go. So these are going to be a little bit less tinting strength. They always are. That's not, or it's to be expected. A little bit less tinting strength with this stuff here. And I'm going to use these as accents when I do the painting. I'm probably not going to do a whole section of the metallic copper or something, but I'll do some accents. Now some of these colors though coming up though look beautiful. Okay, so this is a metallic red. Well, that's very light. Hold on. I got to do it again. And I'm telling you, these do need to be re-wet first probably. They probably should be sprayed. But I like to see how they start. How do they come off the page or come off onto the page just from being completely dry? That's what I like to test. And again, as an accent, the thing you're looking for is the shine on them. So I'm gonna tilt the page. Once this is all set up, I'll do the tilting of the page and we'll see how it shows up. So I'm noticing as they dry, they become a little bit more solid. And so you can see the reflectiveness of it, and it doesn't look as low of a tinting strength after it starts to dry. And that may be a characteristic of the paint. But I have gone ahead and I have started to wet these. And I've sprayed them and I've let them sit for a couple minutes. So let's see how this turns out. Now this is still very light. Very, very light. So that's that metallic. And I'll do a couple just to see, a couple layers just to see if maybe I can get a little bit more on there. And it got a little bit darker. But once they dry, they seem to start to solidify and the color kind of takes over the top. So these look a lot more solid than when I first put them down. That one looks a lot more solid than when I first put it down. So that could be a characteristic of it. It's hard to get, you know, this is a pale yellow, so this is going to be light. But like I said, once it dries, let's see if it solidifies a little bit more with the color. But I can see that color pretty good. And these are not for everybody. Not everybody likes the metallic stuff. I know, I get it. But I do like them for accents. I think that they're fun to put in pieces to have some specialty paints. Wow, that's really light. I could barely see that. And that paint is liquid as anything. So, I don't know. Anyway, I like to use them. I just like to use them in a context that's different. It's just highlights, little things that stand out within the piece, not necessarily the whole piece, or mixing them into another color. That's another thing you can do. You mix them into another color. That's a pretty color. You mix them into another color and give the quality of that. Now you do that outside. Don't do it in the pan. You'll put the sparkle crap all inside your other paints. What do they call it? The mica? You'll put the mica in the paints. You don't want to put the mica in the paints. A metallic ocean. That's a pretty color. That's a really pretty color. That's a pretty metallic color right there. Not that any of these aren't pretty. Even that lime green color right there is still half decent. It's not my kind of color, but it's still a pretty color. And these did get, as they're drying, they're getting a little bit more solid. Oh no, the metallic white. Okay, this one I got to come back to too. Don't let me forget. The end of this, I'm going back to the other one. So I will definitely come back to that one at the end. Don't let me forget, not even for a second. It'll slip my mind and never come back. When something slips out of my mind, it's gone. It's lost to the history. That's a pretty color. A reddish brown. I hope this color comes off on the page well because it's a beautiful color. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Not bad at all. I have a lot less to say about these colors because I don't really use a lot of metallic colors, so my frame of reference is very limited. Okay, this one I think is going to be pretty light. Yeah, it's pretty light. But still, you can tell that's a lemon. That's more like a lemon yellow than that is. Okay, so metallic apple green. That's interesting. Again, not the color apple that I would eat, especially if it was glowing and was sparkling. I definitely would not eat that apple, but it's an interesting color. When I look at the metallic colors, it's different for me. It's different than I look at the regular colors. This is going to be pretty. Yeah, that's gorgeous. That's a gorgeous color. You know what that reminds me of? Like a rare earth green. That's what that reminds me of. That's beautiful. Okay, metallic steel blue. Let's see what that is. That's a little bit of a warmer blue there, almost like not bad. Not a bad color. Not quite like ultramarine or anything like that, but it's a little bit more of a warmer blue compared to the other one above it. But very nice, very nice. Metallic silver gray. I'm guessing like a good, well, maybe not like a gunmetal. So that's like that's a very warm gray for what I was expecting. But that's okay. That's fine. And what does that mean, a warm gray? Some people don't know what that means. Just means the gray leans a little bit more to the browner side than it does the blue side, that's all. But it's more of a true gray. Now that I'm looking at it, it's starting to dry a little bit, more of a true gray, and it's pretty. I could use that. This says bronze. I'm not a big fan of bronze, but it's not a bad color. I'm less a fan of copper, so bronze is a little different. I can handle the bronze a little bit more. I don't know if there is a copper here. Metallic Viva Magenta. Now, I remember that one from the other smaller set. Viva Magenta. How do you forget that? But more of a pink color than a magenta color. Definitely much pinker. If you look at this, now you can see how dark these are. But that's more of a magenta color. And this is more of a pink color. So that's all. Still nice color. Probably not something I would use a whole lot of, but not bad. I like it a lot better than this color. I don't like gold. I'm really not a fan of gold in anything. I don't know what it is. I just don't like the color. Now this one's in my wheelhouse right here. This is the metallic orange. I don't know where that came. That's a pretty color. I don't know where that expression came from. Let me know. Go look it up. I know you keyboard warriors are somewhere in there. You're going to go look that up and let me know. That's what I'm relying on you for. Go let me know. Where did that come from? The wheelhouse reference. There's someone that wants to educate me desperately. Go ahead and do it. And a metallic seafoam green, what does that look like? That looks like a seafoam green. That's seafoam green is very noticeable. You know what that color is, and they did a good job of representing that here. A light metallic blue, that's one, or metallic light blue. You know what I mean. It's the same word. It's just in a different order. It's the same thing, and I like that color. That's a very pretty color. I'm going to do a little bit more on there and see if I can get a little bit darker. But yeah, definitely a very nice color. I would use that. Now the metallic aqua blue, you would imagine, well, that's different. That's not what I expected at all. I was expecting either a turquoise or like a teal or something. But that's a different metallic aqua blue. I don't know. It's just a little bit, it's still a pretty color. I'd use it. It's not what I would expect for an aqua. That's all. And here we have, oh, the Mars Black. It's a metallic Mars Black. I love Mars Black. Oh, look how dark that is. Oh my goodness, I love that color. That color will be used on every painting. Don't quote me on that. I'm not promising that, but look at how beautiful that is. See how it's more gray underneath and there's no brown? That's a beautiful color. And look how dark it got, and it's gonna glow and sparkle. I love that color. I never thought I would say that about a metallic color, but I do love that color. Okay, metallic rosy pink. Is that rosy or is it Rossi pink? Is rosy have an E in it? That's actually a darker tinting strength than some of the other ones were. I'm wrong again. That is exactly how you say rosy. I was thinking rosy was EY, but actually the EY is like a proper noun for a name. So if someone's name is Rosie, it's R-O-S-E-Y. Maybe that's how I've seen it spelled. I was wrong. Could you imagine if I was wrong? It happens every day of my life. That is way too light to see. But I see there's a little bit of metallic. I can see it. It'll shine a little bit. It's called powder pink, so it's going to be light. There's nothing I can do about that. But it's very, very light pink. You can barely, I bet you can't even see it on the camera. I don't know if you can or not. Pale persimmon. Oh, I'm not eating the persimmon. What is that? That's still a very pretty, that's a pretty orange color. I don't think, that's not a metallic color. Am I done with all the metallics? Oh, there's a couple more here. And then this, oh, these must be, okay. These are the macaron colors. Okay, these must be the macaron colors. It's a pretty color. Look at that thing. Or it could be, I don't know if it's one of the, no, I don't think it's one of the fluorescent colors. I think it's a macaron. Am I saying it wrong? Oh no, I did it again to the French people. I'm sorry, I had no idea. If anybody's gonna put their foot in their mouth, it's me. French people, I'm sorry. So I knew it wasn't a macaroon because I know what a macaroon is. The macaroon has 2 O's in it. But a macaron, I guess. I don't know how you say it. Don't yell at me. I don't know how you say it. It says it's a colorful French sandwich cookie made from almond flour, egg whites, and sugar, with a sweet filling like a ganache or buttercream sandwich between 2 meringue discs. I'm sorry. I've gotten already butchered in the comments from saying that in the beginning. Oh, however you say it, that's the word that it is. Persimmon red. Don't yell at me. I don't even know what I'm doing. Hopefully it's not also some kind of art movement or no one will ever let me live it down. Is there a macaron art movement? Can someone tell me? Am I still saying it wrong? I could be. I have no idea. I don't know how to pronounce the word. M-A-C-A-R-O-N. Macaron. Okay, lilac. Very pretty color. Pretty color lilac. And I said this right last time, the one time. One time I said a word right. Aubergine? Aubergine? Oh, I don't remember. It means eggplant apparently, but not in my language. It doesn't mean eggplant. So I don't know, but I thought eggplants were much darker than that. That's not really an eggplant color. Aubergine. I think it's aubergine. It's aubergine. I think I'm getting that. I'm having a bad word day today. Oh, come on. Floor pink, maybe? Could be. Oh, fluorescent pink. It's not a French word. It's just an abbreviation. Okay, never mind. I thought they were heckling me by putting all these words in here that I couldn't pronounce. Talk about being set up for failure. Oh my goodness. Now we have a fluorescent purple. Let's see how that works. And we did a lot of those fluorescent colors in the other set. And that one was not as bright as I thought it would be. But these are basically highlighters. Maybe I had too much water there. These are basically highlighters. That's what they are. The fluorescents are highlighter. Oh, we're going back to a metallic now. Fandango pink. What's a fandango? It sounds like it should be a French word. Is it? Am I wrong? Is fandango an Italian word? It could be. That would be embarrassing. I am Italian, 100%. Maybe I just didn't know. Also sounds like it could be an Australian word. Let's get everybody mad at me today. Did the Fandango eat your baby? What is this? Metallic light purple. It's a pretty color. Do you see the trouble I get into when I don't have pigments to talk about? This is not my fault. Peach orange. I'd say that's a peach color. Absolutely wonderful. This is watermelon. Let's see, that's not anything like a watermelon color. Watermelon, I don't know. I don't think that that's a watermelon color. If I saw a watermelon that color, it definitely would be not ripe. And I know, I'm talking about the inside. Obviously, it's going to be green on the outside, but if it was on the inside pink like that, I wouldn't eat it. Light green. This is like a lime green. Look at that. Oh, although that color either, I would not eat a lime that color either, so I don't know why that's called a lime green. They're not calling it a lime green, but most other people do. Here's an aqua. There's a nice aqua green here. Very nicely done. So that's like a teal color, right? That's not a turquoise color, that's a teal color. Then we have a fluorescent orange here, and that's exactly what that is. That's a highlighter right there. Now the fluorescent yellows always look green to me. And that's exactly what this looks. It looks a little bit to the green side. It's definitely a highlighter, but it doesn't look like a true yellow. It looks like a greenish yellow to me. Metallic bubblegum. All right, listen everybody. If you have metal in your bubblegum, you should not be eating it or chewing it. You don't eat it, you chew it. But either way, I'd say that's a accurate representation for the color. Definitely a bubblegum color. Oh, there's something there. There's a fleck of something in there. Metallic violet. Let's see how that is. Well, that's interesting. Again, I mean, all the metallics have the lighter tinting strength. Once I went over it again, got a little darker. Bisque. I know how to say that word. I drink bisque. Or I eat bisque. I don't know. Technically, you drink soup, right? Do you eat soup? It depends on how chunky it is, right? Well, the bisque is something I think you'd have to eat, not drink, because there should be chunks of something in a bisque. I like lobster bisque and crab bisque. That's a pretty color, peacock blue. Now, I've always liked peacock blue. It's usually a mix. It's usually like a greenish blue color, so more like a turquoise color than it would be a teal color. But I've always loved peacock blues. Does anybody know why those colors are called peacock blue? Why is peacock blue called that? Pale blue, that's a pretty color. Yeah, these colors are much more saturated because they're I'm not saying the word again, but they're those colors. And the highlighter colors are more saturated. But still, look how well those filled in. They got a lot more solid. I'm blocking some of the colors. They got a lot more solid, and they show up a lot more. Here's a baby blue. And that's what I think of when I think of baby blue. That color right there. Is that the color you think of? I do. Like a baby blue and powder blue go very close together. If I had a paint company, I'd call it baby powder blue. Fluorescent green, and that's exactly what this is. Another highlighter. And the fluorescent blue, and there you go. It's a pretty color. That's a pretty color blue. I don't usually use the fluorescent colors a lot. It's not something I'm a big fan of, but I understand if people like it. Maybe if you should print books on watercolor paper, then people can use this to highlight passages in the book. Okay, so let's head back to this and just take a look at some of these colors. This is a beautiful palette of colors. There's so many here that I absolutely love that I will use in this painting. I love that rust red. It's a beautiful color. I'm really interested in the black tea, the ruby red, the garnet red. That's a beautiful color. It looks more like a perylene purple now than it did before. And I absolutely love it. I think it's a beautiful color. All the blues down through here except for one or something that I would use. I think they're all using a phthalo color mixed in with them. Some of them are regular phthalo blue, some of them are phthalo blue with white, some of them are phthalo blue with, it doesn't matter. A little bit of black maybe, but these are beautiful colors. I don't like the ultramarine just because I don't like the purplish. Now, if I was mixing a purple, this is the color I would grab because it's a reddish blue. But otherwise, these are pretty, and I like the purples that are mixed with the cooler blues as well. So they're very pretty colors. Let's talk about some of the blue-green. Great color. I think that's a wonderful color. That's a good, nice violet. I don't usually use the dioxazine violets, but that's a pretty color. I will use the olive green, probably the deep moss green, like I said before, and this black green is beautiful. I love that color. Then everything on the bottom I like, and you thought I forgot about this, but I didn't. I'm going to do it right now. So everything on the bottom I absolutely love. I think they're beautiful colors, from the gray, the black, all the earth tones. Absolutely wonderful. And let's see how much this covers. So not tremendously. It doesn't cover tremendously, and that'll lighten up a little bit as it goes. So this is going to be more like a mixing white, I guess. Do a little bit, I'm going to just do a line right here, a little bit thicker, and see how that works. But more than just doing anything, that white is used to mix some more pastel-like colors, and that's what you're going to do with it. Let's move over to here. A lot of these metallic colors are absolutely beautiful. I'm a big fan of the blues. I like this metallic reddish purple here. That's a beautiful color. This forest green is beautiful. This metallic light blue is absolutely beautiful. And those are some of my favorites. This black, I'm definitely using that. Let's look at the sandwich, the little French sandwiches. This is the pale persimmon. That's a pretty color. The peacock blue and the pale blue, very pretty colors. I really like those. The aqua green is even a nice color. I could use that. The neons I'm not a huge fan of. I don't really use the neons, but if I had to pick one, that blue is very nice. I like that blue, so I would use that one. I'm going to do a painting with some of these. Let's see how they turn out. Oh wait, you thought I forgot about this one up here. You did. I know the people that have that OCD about it, and you were already freaking out. Don't freak out on me. I'm going to do it right now. Okay, here we go. That's very interesting. Nothing happened. What was supposed to happen? I was supposed to put paint on this page. It's just very, very light. So you know what this reminds me of? It's probably like a pearl color. It probably comes out great on black paper, but not so much on the white paper. And it's probably used to mix in with the other colors to make them a little bit more opaque. That's what I would say. Just a little bit. It's a little bit on top of that line. Not much. But it did do something. I just can't see it. It does glisten like a pearl color. If you look at like a white pearl, that's what it glistens like. So very interesting. And you can see they all shine just a little bit. So very nice. Not all. You know, the metallic ones, not the rest of them. Okay, so now let's take a look at some of these brushes. So I'm going to use the 1 first because I want to see how much that 1 will hold as far as water, and the 8. Now let me just show you something here. These are supposed to be faux squirrel. So they're synthetic. But now if you move them like this, I did wet this a little bit. See how it stays? That's what squirrel does. That's exactly what it does. And let's see if we split it like this. See how it stays split? The hairs stay. Now, once you dip it in water, which I'm going to do right now, and just dab it off, it comes back to your full point. You're fine. But that's what they do. It kind of holds the shape as you put it down. But I'm going to use that big 8. But first I want to use this little 1 and see how far we can get with how much water and how much paint it's holding. This is a 1. This is a tiny brush, tiny brush. Now, the one thing that I'm concerned with when I look at any kind of quill brushes, the quills, you know, the reason that this is on here is because the brush bristles go over the top of the stick and the paintbrush handle. You know what I mean when I say the stick. Then they put this binding on it and they tighten it down with metal, and that's what holds it on there. So these are not supposed to shed, and they didn't when I was cleaning them. I was looking to see if anything came out. It never did. But you can see the hair goes all the way down to here and is wrapped on the outside of the handle. So, and the handle goes up to, well, the handle goes up pretty far, about to here maybe. So that means you have extra hair sticking underneath the plastic. And I always wonder, does that water get up under there and start to destroy the brush from underneath? But you always hang these down. That's how you're supposed to dry them. So I have a little brush holder that I pop them in. It holds them upside down and lets them dry the right way. But I have no idea. I don't know exactly what the whole history of that is and how that works. But I'm gonna say that it's probably fine. So I'm gonna start with this beautiful garnet red and just see if I can. Oh, hold on. Yep, I was dripping water. Okay, that was not, I did not re-dip the brush. I dripped water right there. And I did not run out of paint. I just lifted the brush over there. So this is just me because I lifted. I didn't put enough pressure on the brush. I'm trying to put very little pressure on the brush so you can see how the tip draws and then the paint just kind of sits in there and comes out as it goes through. And it's starting to run out now. But that's not bad. I'm going to hit the water. Now it's going to ruin everything. Anyway, it's quite a bit of paint in this tiny little, this is a tiny little brush. Do you see that? And it holds a lot of paint. That's good. That's what you want. Now I'm going to use this 5 for a second here. You can see the tip on that thing. Look how sharp that is. Anyway, I'm going to take this number 5. I'm going back for this garnet red here. Now, when you do this, let's see how it lays down. Does it dump the water when you first touch? And then does it, oh, see, it's too dark. You can't see. Hold on. I might have to get a different color that you can see a little bit easier. Hold on. So I'm going to use this gamboge color. And you can see it's a very smooth application. You lift it up. Does it dump? Did it dump anywhere? I don't think so. I think it's a smooth line. That's what you want. Now, to some extent, you may get some of that when you have this much water in a brush. You could have a little bit. Maybe it's a little bit thicker here, but that's when I first took it out of the pan. I went straight into the pan on that. So it got a little bit lighter, and then right there you see a little bit of a darker spot right there. Could be, but that's not really something terrible that you're looking for. What you're really looking for is a big color dump where you would put the brush down, you get a big dump of color, and then it waters out, or it's just watery the whole time until you pick up, and then it gets that kind of dump. So, but I'm saying that this right here is a very smooth application. For such a big brush with so much water in it, it's a smooth application. Now, if you do this and then you dump the belly on there and then pick it up, you get the color dump. That's what happens when you dump the belly onto the brush. I mean, onto the paper. That's what happens. Now, I was going into that little half pan with these giant brushes. So let me show you what happens if I put a little bit more paint down in here and try to get a little bit more onto this brush and get some more water and the whole bunch of it. Okay, so there's a lot in there. Let's see what happens here. Oh, I lifted my brush up. And you can see it's going pretty well. It's not going to hold as much water as a true squirrel brush would. But is it holding a lot of paint? Yes. Is it holding a lot of water? Yes. You can see it's a lot more watered out than this concentrated bit here. That was straight into the pan. But this is still in that same bit of paint, still getting the color out. I'm not stopping. So there's enough paint in this brush to paint normally, to paint a decent amount, and not have to worry about it. You put it in there and you do that. If you dump the belly on there and lift it up, you're going to get that color dump right there. You're going to get that little bit of paint dump right there. It's a normal thing that happens, but everything else is acting exactly, even doing that, it's acting exactly as I would expect it to act. So These are going to be wonderful for holding a lot of water, holding a lot of paint, but you just have to remember that these are synthetic. They're not going to hold as much as real hair, but pretty close, pretty close. That is not bad. I would have no problem reaching for it and using it. So they did a great job on these quills, and I think that they are a wonderful value. And if you remember, there was a time when I did have one of their watercolor sets. It was before they came out with these new brushes. And I said I didn't like their brushes. Their brush did that. It dumped. It was the basic set of watercolor. I said, yeah, I didn't really like those. And they immediately sent me another set that I have up on the shelf that I absolutely loved. They worked exactly like they should. And these work exactly like they should. So they've really improved what they're doing with their brushes. And I'm very impressed with that. Okay, so these are some of the most saturated non-professional paints I've ever used. At least I don't think they're the professional ones. They don't have any information on them. They don't say professional on the box. But they are saturated, bright, vibrant, beautiful colors. I had no problems using them, using the brush. That water pot worked wonderfully. I didn't worry about it. I hit it a couple of times. No, without a worry, because it's not going to go anywhere. It's pretty heavy piece. Then I have it sitting on top of a piece of foam, so it's not going to scratch my desk. Everything's fine. The watercolor paper, I always loved the watercolor paper. I've always loved it. I've always used it ever since I first tried it. I thought it was great paper, and I've always used it. So it performed exactly as I wanted it to. Didn't matter if I went over a couple times. Didn't matter if I had to lift a little bit. Didn't matter what I was doing. Everything worked great. So at first when I started the piece, I said, let me just start throwing down some colors I want to use. And that's what I started to do. I said, I know I want to use these couple colors. Let's throw them on there. And then it started to look very bright in that upper right section. And I said, I think I want to see what I could put with it to kind of tone it down a little bit. I know that there's ink that's going to get put into it, so I know it's going to kind of get a little bit more muted, but I wanted it to kind of tone down a little bit. So I did put some other colors into it to pull it down a little bit. And then I started working on the rest of the piece, and I started to go in one direction down on the bottom right. Then I started to go in a different direction on the top left. But all in all, I'm happy with how it came out. I'm happy with the color combination. There may be one or two things that I would have changed if I was really thinking about it, but I wanted to do a broad section of colors in the piece because I wanted you to see how they would come out on the page aside from a swatch page. And they are bright. They were so easy to re-wet. The standard 48 set, extremely easy to re-wet. They worked wonderfully. They were concentrated as anything. And then when I went back, I did put some accents in with the, I don't know if you can see it. You can't really see it. I don't think you could see it much when I was putting it on, but I did put some of the metallic colors as accents over into some of the other colors. And I think it works great. There's only two sections, two small spots, one on the far right, right in the middle, and then one on the bottom left where I actually put the metallic paint where there was no other paint. And everything, one was the blue, the other one was the green, but everything else was on top of another color, and I think it came out great. And as soon as I put it down in the center of the page, the color, I knew that it was going to be an eye. I had a feeling that I was going to go in that direction, and I did go in that direction. I haven't done that in a few videos where I haven't put like an eye in something, and I just saw it, and I said, you know what, I have to put it in there. It's an eye. I have to put it in. So that's what I did, and I tried to make, you'll see when I do the ink with it, I think it comes out better. It's at the very end, I do the ink with it. I think it came out better with the extra details around the eye as well, because I put a second color into it, and I think it helps. Now, a lot of people ask me, where do I see all those, why do I put those marks where I put them? And the reason really is because I see them in the paint. It's not because I'm just saying, oh, let me make this shape inside the paint and put this ink line in. That's never what happens. I always look at it, except for, oh no, I have to correct myself. In the very, very far top left, where I started, well, your side, this side. Anyway, where I started, it was, I just saw it and said, I think I want to put a shape in there. So I made these series of circles within the shape itself. Other than that, everything else, it's what I saw in the paint. Anytime you see a slight color variation, or where the color settled a little bit more in one spot than it did in the other spot, that's where I put my lines. I follow the curves of that. Now I do it a little sketchy and do it a little dotted and not solid lines most of the time, but that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing something in the paint, and I'm allowing the watercolor to be the paint and do what it does. And then I just accent it where it has already started to accent itself. So that's all I do. I don't consciously say, oh, I want to make this shape inside here. That's not what happens usually. It's usually, this is what I see and this is where I want to put that line, or this is where I want to put that dotted line or dots, or wherever I do, it's because there's accents there already, and the paint separates a little bit from itself, or maybe I put another color into it and it kind of spread out a little bit and made a little bit of design or something, and that's what I do. And it took me a long time to figure that out, exactly where I want to put those things, but I'm saying what I did there, that's just how I'm happy with the way that it comes out every time I do that, because it's not me deciding where to put that line. I'm just following where the paint already has a mark, and I just follow it. So it's already there. I just accentuate it a little bit and point it out, and the black ink adds the contrast to it, which I love to do. So everything in the set worked great that they sent me. I already mentioned it. The brushes worked remarkably. I only used the one brush for the whole thing. It's a number 5, just in case you were wondering. I used the number 5, and it's a big brush. That's not something you normally have around like this. You're talking something really big. But it's only a 5 because it's a quill. But it worked just like I wanted to. The only time when it would dump a little color where I had to pick it up is if I had so much water in the brush and I pushed a little bit down. As soon as you push down on that belly touches that page a little bit, you're gonna get a dump of water. And I did that a couple of times, and that's fine, because that, for me, anything that adds texture to the piece is better. And some people don't feel that way. Some people think, no, I want to have the solid line just the way that I put it down. That's fine. But I like when things go awry, because all it does is give me more to work with. If something doesn't work exactly what I was thinking I was doing, I was going to put the line down and I push too hard and it dumps paint in a spot or something, that's a plus for me. I like that. I don't have control of anything I'm doing. I don't have a picture in my head. I have no idea what is about to happen on the page. So when something happens, I just take advantage of it. It's like something, it's like, oh, that's a gift. That's what that is, a gift. Something happened that I didn't think was going to happen. I'm not going to get frustrated. That's wonderful. Now I can work with it a little bit. You have to relax a little bit when you paint. If you're not having fun with it, you're doing it wrong. I've said that 100 times. I'll say it 100 more times. You have to have fun with the painting. Allow it to do whatever it's going to, especially watercolor. This is not an acrylic painting. It's watercolor. Sometimes the water does something unexpected, or it moves in a way that you didn't expect, or just because you didn't realize there was a drop of water on the page, and as you went across it, it spread into that. Whatever happens, it's a good thing. Just let it go and then work with it. That's the important thing. Now, if you're painting something very specific, you're doing like a realism thing or whatever, that's on you. You got to deal with the things that you have to deal with when you do that kind of painting. And when I do that kind of painting, that's what I have to deal with too. I understand it. But for the most part, when I do these abstract pieces, I encourage things to go awry. I want things to happen that are negative, as far as if I was painting something else. It's not really a negative. That's just it. Nothing's negative. It doesn't matter what happens. You notice I'm staring at you without blinking. Is that a little unsettling? Don't worry about that. So all in all, I was very happy with how this came out. I had so much fun using these. Thank you so much to MEEDEN for sending these to me, because I enjoy all of these things here, all of these different materials they sent me. The water pot is great. It's probably, I know it's a thing that maybe someone doesn't think about, but for me, that's huge. I'm not going to spill anything anywhere all over this desk. Everything is going to remain in control. Just like these people popping up on the screen here, they remain in control all the time. They have wonderful self-control, and they even help me control myself. So that's a wonderful thing. You know that. That's definitely a good thing for everybody. So thumb up the video. If you're going to check out the MEEDEN, wish them a wonderfully happy 10th birthday, anniversary, whatever they want to do with that. I'm going to say it's a birthday because that's what it is. And I hope they had a wonderful 10 years, and I hope they go for another 10 years, or in my mind, another 15 years, because that's what I thought I was using them for. But that's okay. I hope they have a great time, and I hope they are getting better and better as they go. Their paper, top quality. Their brushes, excellent quality. Top quality for synthetic brushes. I have not seen many better. Then you have the water pot, wonderful, absolutely great. The watercolor, the vibrant, bright, pops all over the place. Works like watercolor. That's what you want watercolor to do. You want it to work like watercolor. It doesn't work like something else. So if you use that, and you use other watercolor, you'll say, oh yeah, okay, this is easy to use because it works just like the other watercolor. It may not be the professional grade, but it works absolutely just like it. And it's bright and poppy and vibrant, and I love it. So I hope you enjoy it as well. And I'm sure I'm going to have some things that I screwed up in this one, especially, well, you'll see. So the set has 48 regular colors, 30 metallics, 30 macaron, that's not macaroon, macarona, and we got some watercolor brushes. You don't know what these are, you can't see them. I should take stuff out of the box before I talk to you about them. That way you can see what they are. These look like something I would get in trouble if I had them sitting on my kitchen counter and the wrong people walked in the door. This is a ceramic, it's not ceramic, it's porcelain. Is porcelain the same thing as ceramic? I don't know, but it says porcelain. Porcelain, ceramics? No, ceramics is something different, isn't it? I don't know. I'm challenged on so many levels. Macaron? It's not. So this paper is 140 pounds. No, we're not doing pounds. Pounds are liars. The U.S. system of weight of paper is a lie. It's 300 GSM. It's standard watercolor paper. It's what you'd expect when you get professional watercolor paper. And the painting, I think, was, oh no, I didn't use the other watercolor brush that came with the kit. That'll be a different video. I did that on purpose. I planned to have the other, it's the watercolor brush that comes inside the watercolor paints. I didn't use that one. I used the other ones. I didn't test that one. And these whiny people that are complaining about how long the video is, wait till you see this one. It'll be a long one. That's how that is. We're not catering to the whiners. Sorry. And in that video, there was a timestamp on the bottom. You could have you could have passed the whole thing. You didn't have to watch any of it. Go straight to the, listen, the painting's always at the end, people. That's how that works. And when I put the first color in the center, that bright red, it pop-eyed up. Pop-eyed? It pop-eyed. It popped. I turned it into an eye. That's not a Popeye. That's a Popeye. If you would like to join our community, go to illustrationsbypete.com. You can come in, you can put your own artwork on the site and promote it. You can find some inspiration in the free reference photos. You can just use them however you want in your artwork. You do not need to credit me. Or you can come into the forums and talk to some people and maybe give some advice and maybe find a little bit of information that helps you. So come check us out. All right, that's about it for me. I'm going to go. I'll see you in the next one.